Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please, call the roll, please.
Bullard.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
Rail. Here.
Okay, and then the next item on the agenda is public comment. If you have any public comment, we need to follow the township ordinance on that, or resolution on that. Yeah, I can go into it in detail if you want. Direct any comments to me? Okay, hearing none, let's move on. I'd like to have an approval of minutes for the December 27th and 2024 organizational meeting minutes for 2024.
Move to approve the 12/27/23 regular and year-end meeting minutes and the 2024 organizational meeting minutes, and dispense of the reading with the qualification of the change sent to the fiscal officer at 5:28 p.m. for the year-end meeting.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. Discussion?
I just said a very brief one-sentence update related to the meeting minutes for the year-end meeting. So that's reflected in an email to you all as well.
Is that included in what we're?
Yes.
Okay, so we got that. Anything else? Call the roll, please.
Bullard.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Rail.
Yes.
Okay, next item is, let's skip over this because I think Assistant or Captain Carl was going to be here.
I told him I didn't have to attend.
Okay. So we got our annual requisitions for them.
Okay.
You want to go through those?
Yes. The first one I have is requisition. Number 2024-04 to Phoenix Safety Outfitters for an amount of $43,080 for turnout gear, complete uniforms for new hires. I so move.
Second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Bullard.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Rail.
Yes.
I move further requisition 2024-14 to Phoenix Safety Outfitters for an amount of $5,400 with an expected amount of $4,500 for inspection and cleaning and repair.
Second.
Okay. Motion moved and seconded. We have discussion. Call the roll, please.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Rail.
Yes.
Bullard.
Yes.
Next one is requisition 2024-09 for an amount of $5,083.23 with an expected amount of $4,621.12 to Lexipol for annual fire policy manual and training. Annual fire policy.
And training manual?
Procedure manual.
Yeah, there's a strong error, but yes.
It's $4,600 for what now?
For annual fire policy, the manual and the training. Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Rail.
Yes.
Bullard.
Yes.
Next one is to Heritage Fire, it's requisition 2024-07 to Heritage Fire Equipment for an amount of $7,586.78 with an expected amount of $6,322.32 for fire helmets. So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Rail.
Yes.
Bullard.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes. Next one is requisition 2024-04 to FireCat for an amount of $7,132.80 with an expected cost of $5,844 for the annual NFPA testing.
Second.
Discussion?
This one was the one that we have the dates corrected on, right? Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Rail,
Yes.
Bullard,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes, the next one is requisition 2024-01 to Mount Carmel Healthcare for an amount of $42,000 with an expected cost of $35,000 for employee physicals and the other annual physicals. I so move.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Bullard,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Next one is requisition 2024-03 to On Duty Equipment Company for the amount of $9,600 with an expected cost of $8,000 for body armor for part-time and full-time firefighters. So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Bullard,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Next one is requisition 2024-04 to ESO Solutions Incorporated for an amount of $5,739.36 with an expected cost of $4,782.80. And that's for mapping and miscellaneous.
Second.
Oh, yes, I so moved.
That's okay. No problem.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Bullard,
Yes.
Next one is requisition 2024-02 to also to Phoenix Safety Outfitters for an amount of $29,040 with an expected cost of $24,200 for one turnout gear and 4 fire boots. So moved.
Second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Bullard,
Yes.
That's all I have. Do you have any other fire ones that he's given since that?
Okay, for the benefit of those in attendance or watching, what we're doing is getting the requisitions and out of the way for the year, so that we don't do these individually and have to follow up every meeting. So we do as many of them at the beginning of the year. These are all expenses that we know we're gonna have, so we just do get them all the way at one time and that way the fire chief can spend the money when he needs to spend it, not have to go through the period of time to the meeting, we'll do all that sort of. So it makes things flow a lot easier, a lot better. Okay, anything else, any other requisitions?
Nope.
Okay, next item is assistant fire chief interviews.
Yes, we have that as a time circulator on the meeting.
There isn't a time certain on here, but
Yeah. Notice that. What time were it was 6:30 was 1, I know.
Yes, and then the other one was to follow after, I believe. But
I thought one was at 6, and one was at like 6:30, 6:45, and then the township administrator was at like 7:15-ish.
with things that have changed, I don't know which is which, and so,
Okay. Yeah.
okay, so we want to do it at 6:30?
I think we can be flexible.
Yeah, whenever the interviewee shows up.
Yes, and prerogative of the chair.
We'll delay that item until 6:30 then. Next item is, anything else for fire department?
No.
Moving on, road department, 2024 road improvement program. I think you got a copy of what we proposed. It's a little over $300,000, which is a little bit more than we spent last year, but last year we spent less than what we normally spend. So that's what this is. With that, any comments or questions?
Okay. So as I'm reading this, the only one that we are doing the chip seal, fog seal coat on is Linda Lane. And we won't be doing that on Winter Street, Red Robin Way, or in the Cheshire Cove subdivision. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then for,
And I've driven Linda Lane, went up and drove, I didn't stop and talk to any of the residents, but, North 3Bs and K is chip sealed, so it's the same surface that's on 3Bs and K. So that we will be talking about putting down, and, so it's gonna be a little bit rougher than what's there, but I don't think it's gonna create an issue. And if you look at the road, there's quite a bit of cracking, and this will help dramatically fill those cracks along, extend the life of the.
Well, I think it's appropriate for that type of road too. It's not got curb and gutter, and so it's what should go on there.
Just to let you know, okay?
Now, is Red Robin Way currently asphalt, or is it currently?
It's currently asphalt.
So are any of the ones that are going to asphalt previously chip and sealed? Not previously, but immediately proceeding.
Well, you know, the Red Robin Way, what it is we got quite a bit of cracking. Putting on the fiber inner layer, so people normally don't like to put that down because it's a kind of a messy process to put it down, but it does give you a good fiberglass, and that holds the road together much better than just putting down tar or gravel, whether it be blacktop or whatever. So the sandy fiber inner layer is the big thing that goes there, plus the tar that will go down and seal that in place.
I found this, this information to be very helpful, just as far as cost comparison. Even though, for example, the county does not recommend using chip and seal on Red Robin Way, the difference in chip and seal with fog seal cost is $6,700 versus the 1.5 overlay we're putting in at $34,000. That's a pretty substantive difference. And so the hope is that if that's the investment that we're making, that the roads will hold up that much better. So instead of having to go back every year, $6,700, you end up having a longer term solution, and the cost pays off in the long run. But
that's correct.
yeah.
And the chip and seal doesn't provide much, how can I call it, increase in the surface strength. But
Yeah.
the sandy layer does. The fiber layer goes in there. That's a good improvement. And we've done that in several subdivisions in the past, and it's worked out quite well. And we should get considerably more life out of this than we would get out of the chip and seal.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I did note in the email as well that there was a note as to whether or not the township wants to replace any existing ADA ramps in 2024 prior to doing the future mill fill pavement treatment. Do we know of any sidewalks that we should look at with respect to this improvement program?
Well, the sidewalks that we have, most are compliant, okay, most are, so that we could pave most streets. The ones that we are not compliant on is, the marina, which is Winover subdivision.
Well, we're compliant, but we're not,
They're not upgraded.
but if we do additional work there, they're not compliant.
They're not, the angle isn't to the standard, okay? And it was done per what the county thought it should be, and the city of Columbus thought it should be at the time. It's changed, and it's no longer the right angle and the right width. So that one, the Meadows of Cheshire, and the, I think Harbor Point falls into that category too. I'm not positive on Harbor Point, no, I'll get to that, but definitely the Meadows of Cheshire and the marina are two that need to be done. We did buy Meadows with a grant that we received a couple of years ago, and it may be possible to do that again. Typically what we would do is do the ones in the street area where we would need to do it, where we would need to do any paving work.
The number is not really germane to tonight's discussion, but the $700,000 per mile for a 10-foot wide path, I found disconcerting because you can almost do a road for it.
Mm-hmm.
So why?
You've got to look at the cost of acquiring the land, which is,
Oh,
you're comparing.
okay. I thought that was construction costs.
I
That's,
don't think you're comparing apples to apples.
Okay.
I think
I've got it.
the road would be considerably more if we had to buy the road.
Well, wait, the $700,000 is including right of way or
I believe it is.
above right of way?
It would be right of way and the cost of the trail and bring it on.
Okay.
It's expensive. It's not and in the newer developments, what we're trying to do is get people to go ahead and dedicate the right of way as part of the development cost. But there's going to be sections where we have to purchase right of way to be able to get,
Understood.
to be able to put it in. Because we just don't have right of way.
Understood. So are you wanting to take action on this now?
Yes. With that, I would propose, or I make a motion that we approve the road improvement program as provided for us 12/4/80/12/4/23, and with the modifications that are shown on, with an expected cost of $283,000, but with the motion being for $311,000 gives us a 10% contingency, and that's what issues that we come up with.
So $311,200?
$311,200.
Second.
Discussion?
Could we have this document be an exhibit?
It's on the back of this.
Or just either have this whole thing as an exhibit, but I think that this should be an exhibit in our meeting minutes.
Okay.
So we can accept it as an exhibit, just this document, not the email.
We typically don't put it in the meeting minutes, but we can.
Well, I'd like for, us to have some kind of record for residents to be able to review this document.
That's something we can easily put in.
Okay.
Can be done.
Sometimes if I scan it and then try to copy and paste it, it's a struggle.
We can stand for that. Okay. Anything other, any other comments? Call roll, please.
Signed.
Rail,
Yes.
Bullard,
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Okay, the other one is, the Ohio Department of Transportation Township Mileage System Certification. It's, township is responsible for, 44.596 miles. You need a copy of it?
So does that add up with what was last year's plus what the county has turned over to us?
Yes, there's one more that came in after this was put in place, the certification was. And that's the amount for, Harbor Point, there's about a quarter mile, not Harbor Point, but, there's a little short section over in the western part of the development, and it's like less than a quarter mile. But other than that, all the mileage that we are maintaining is in this list. Okay. That's one thing. Another comment on that is the development across the road. The only mileage that we have in there that we're responsible for is going around the loop. None of the houses that are off are on roads that have been turned over to us. So if we get phone calls talking about stuff on and that sort of stuff, anywhere in that development, chances are roads that haven't been turned over to us.
Understood.
Okay, just so that everybody knows going into it. With that, any comments or questions on it? With that, I make a motion that we approve the Ohio Department of Transportation 2023 Township Highway System mileage certification at 44.596 miles.
Second.
So moved. Discussion? Roll please.
Rail,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Did we actually accept as an exhibit what we signed? The document we signed? Do we need to accept that as the actual exhibit since we signed it, or do you just want to approve it?
We need to do this.
Send that to
Okay.
This is the signed one.
It's also-
And that way it's on the proper place to be shown in copies. You want me to sign this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you have?
Oh, unless you had a different one.
Oh, this is the one I signed,
Yeah.
but I can sign this. They're all the same.
3 copies, 3 different signatures.
Well, I did that wrong. There you go.
What'd you do?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Why don't you have them
Get
send
them
one?
Here, you sign this one, yeah, you sign there.
I can do that.
And then here's the one that I signed, that was signed by the trustees for the roads. And then this for Josh. It's good.
And, got several things that we're working on the road department, but, we'll bring those up later. At another time. Anything else? Nothing else on the road department?
I just wanted to note that the zoning enforced signs that have gone up, I think most of them are up, with the exception of a few. Wanted to note great work by the roads department, putting up the new signs. I think that they're simple, but showcase that, things are getting updated and it fits our branding and all of that, so great work by the roads department.
One of the problems that you bring up to next meeting is, the signs on 23 are not up. The reason being.
There was one up at Shanahan in 23.
Yeah, I understand, but the problem is that those signs are put up by ODOT to mark where the townships are, and then what they want us to do is to add that sign to the township signs. There's a couple of signs that are missing. And in order to get those signs put up, we need to enact a resolution and send it to District 6, and they'll see to the sign gets put up and mark the other
Yeah, that's
township
fine.
locations. It's just, we're not there
That's fine.
yet. Anything else? I'll pass your info on to the road department. You're welcome to receive, say the same thing.
Will do.
Cemetery rules update. I passed a copy to Ken, I'm not sure if I got, yeah.
Is this it?
That's-
Handwriting?
That's, all that is to say that that's a working process. And I wanted to show you that those are things that we need to add. This is the current book that we have. This book will be changed and we'll delete the references to Fairview Cemetery, and anything in the book that applies to Fairview Cemetery, plus take Tim's name out from inside the cover letter of this one. And we'll create another book like this for Fairview Cemetery, because the two cemeteries are different enough that that's what we're trying to do. But you can see that these are part of the things that we're gonna add. We've got several more items to add besides that.
So the only thought that I would, under 2.1, where it says currently no evergreen memorial, except on very special situations, I'd add which requires board action.
For 2.1,
Yes.
I
that
don't,
doesn't require court action.
No, not
board action,
board
action.
action.
I don't even know that I would want very special situations in there. I would probably just say, currently, no lots are being sold in Evergreen Memorial. except for, situations in which,
The reason,
board action is required.
Yes.
So something like that.
the reason I put it in there was so we didn't have to bring each one to the board. That's what
Well,
I was trying to.
But I think that,
If we had-
but what I don't want to do is get Tim caught in having to,
Every situation, if I may, every situation in my view that has come before us is in some way very special and very unique. And I don't want to get into this question of fairness on our part by you or Tim or anybody. So I think we say, of course, we have the power of the board to be able to make any of these exceptions, but if these exceptions need to be made, I think we need to deliberate about them, all three of us.
I do, unless, what, the only exception to that would be, is if we determine this exception is
Always okay,
always okay.
And.
which we haven't done any
Right.
of those situations
Right.
yet.
And let me just say, the reason I put it here is we don't always have a lot of time when people figure out that this needs to occur and the body gets put in the grave. So we may have to have emergency meetings in order to be able to respond to that situation. That's all I'm saying. And then what this does is allows us to do it and just keep going. Is the only reason for doing it.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about a sale of a lot. We're not talking about responding to emergency situations, right?
Well, I understand what he's saying. If,
This would be a no-charge sale, by the way. And the reason for that is because when the lot was sold to them, they were told that they could put 2 graves in that lot. And what we're saying is the rules have changed to the point that you can only put 1,
you're talking about the double,
the 2 high graves.
None of that is in here at all at 2.1.
see, if that's the exception, I think the board could make that,
And the 2 high crypts is over there, we mentioned that.
No, I mean, initially, you're just under 2.1, it's
So,
sale, and so if you're saying that that's gonna be the exception every time, that's one thing, I suppose, but we wouldn't sell it. It's not a sale if you're relocating them, right? So they paid for 1 lot and they said it's a 2-for-1 situation.
see, what I
That's
think.
not a sale to me.
Right, where I think the quandary is not the right word, but what I think I'm hearing you say is that a new deed needs to be made. And it's being, what I would call transferred from being too high to here and here. That's not a new sale, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
What I'm not okay with is somebody coming in who has no.
2 high crypts, that's correct.
Yeah.
And
Because it's not
and that
their
was the
fault.
reason- That was the reason you put in the wording about the 2 high crypts.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it
the
doesn't
2 high
have to
crypt
be-
could go underneath, under like transfer or something, right?
Mhm.
I think so. Because it's not their fault that the rules change.
Yeah.
Okay, that's totally different than somebody saying, oh, I want to go in there and
I wanna buy a lot, and here's my special situation for my lot, and we're saying, we're not selling lots.
Right.
But in any situation that they bring, I mean, we've had people ask, it's not for lack of asking, but we've said no every time.
Mhm.
Because I think that's 2 high crypt situation is a transfer to me. Maybe it's just semantics, but I don't think that, if there's no money exchange, I don't know that I would call it a sale.
And I'm okay with that because it's not that person's fault that,
That's right. I didn't know, I just wanted to get it in sanitary rules someplace, I don't care where it goes, that we can correct that situation without having to have an emergency meeting by the board to be able to do.
Right.
That's what.
I get what you're getting at now, so I would think that would be, I think we might need something.
it might be a new section because it's unique to that
Yeah.
cemetery. It's not something that ever happened anywhere else.
Let me put it this way, I've identified what the issue is, you guys got good ways of handling it when you sit down and think about it.
That's fair.
Because this is a working process. We're gonna spend some time on getting this list.
Right.
Could
What I
I,
didn't want to do, my whole goal in starting this discussion was I didn't want the sexton to be put in a position where he had to make a determination that is somewhat contrary to what people want and somewhat contrary to what the board has told, and then he's caught in the middle. That's what I'm trying to
You know,
avoid.
and another situation like this is someone may have a record, we may have a record saying they own this particular plot, but there may already be a body in that plot.
Right, and so that,
then what we gotta do is transfer it to somebody else.
there you go.
And we've got no idea who's in the plot, so.
Right,
This,
and that to me is not a sale, that's just,
neither one of these are sales.
I think we need a new section that's specifically about transfers for this cemetery,
Okay.
because we can also, and I'm sorry, I didn't get to see if you already added this in your comments, but we also do have that process that we can then put in
Sure,
to
we can
transfer
do
and
it.
say, here's the terms and conditions for transferring, here's the process for transferring, and get all that stuff in there,
There's just gonna be a statement, then no lots are for sale at this point in time.
unless approved by the board. Technically, we
That's
can
always-
approve it.
that's always-
Yeah, exactly.
And the one place where we might want to think about it is if there's, somebody owns 3 or 4 plots, they're all full. And then they would like to add another family member, somebody got married, and, you know, to add them to the cemetery.
Yes.
Well, we've run into that.
But
We didn't-
that's a very special case.
right.
We've run into that and we still didn't sell, did we?
Pardon?
Didn't
That
the
was my
family-
understanding. So how I would word it is, no sales at this time, because at this time
Mhm.
gives that implication that the board can change the rules without inviting, unless it truly is a,
That opens the
Exception.
question of when's it gonna be the time?
yes. And that would be be determined by the board.
Okay, so anyhow.
Great work on this.
we'll-
This
we'll
gets
try
us
to-
further along. Do you have an electronic copy of these documents so that I could, because I'm happy to integrate your notes
Mhm.
and then also make suggestions on the electronic copy of what to add the transfer area or, something like that if you want.
Okay, and
Or do you want to plug away at the electronic version and add the transfer area as well? For feedback, either way works for me, or maybe Tim would,
okay, we'll create another section, 2.4, which will be transfers,
yeah,
and then there's several cases where that could occur.
okay,
So,
yeah.
That's why we have the discussion.
So you'll do the,
I'll do that,
okay,
I'll try to get an electronic copy too.
okay, great, thank you.
I think I've got an electronic copy of what this is, but not what the changes were that I put on, if that's easy enough to put together.
Yeah.
Okay. Fiscal officer items.
December bank statement balanced. It's in your group of stuff there.
There was a question about the reconciliation.
Yeah. In 2021, when we did the Pike Road OPWC, I put the money in, I was jumping the gun, and so I corrected that and took it back out.
Okay.
So that-
Okay,
Yes.
I think we've all signed it, that we're not, the documents, so we're okay on it, but I just wanted to,
in there.
okay,
The next is the payment list that I emailed to you because I forgot to print it out for checks going out tomorrow, which is the checks you sign there. So the total was $11,266.75.
I move to approve.
Second,
discussion. Call roll, please.
Fuller,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail.
yes,
And then in doing year end, I found some other discrepancies, so I had to revise the preliminary appropriation.
So I move that we revise the 2024 permanent appropriations to $6,846,221.29.
Second?
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Fuller,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Okay, and then you put a note on the inventory that, for the trustee items. And what I did was I went through the inventory and put as much stuff that I knew where it was and what was going on with it. That I identified those and went through and items that were less than $100, I identified those. Then there's several blanks, and the blanks are typically in the sound system and some of that sort of stuff. And I don't know where that went and what happened, because we made a lot of changes in the sound system and in the audio system. So I just don't know what to do with that. So that's why those were left blank, and I think that's the problem that we've got.
So what I'll do is, because some of this, it's, like, verifying that the shark vacuum is still in the closet kind of stuff. So I can also ask, Kathy to go through this list and mark off everything that she can confirm. And, meeting room, serving table, chairs, Hercules series, some of those items, Swiffer WebJet, and then
Some of
anything.
those are under $100, so we'll probably take those off too. Swiffer WebJet's gonna be under $100.
Okay, so is this all assets, even those under $100?
Those are everything, yes, but since we decided last year we didn't need to put $100 on, we're just slowly taking them off.
Okay, so it's only $100 plus that we verify.
Mhm.
Okay, so that would mean like
And-
air purifier.
And
I think that's a big one.
in addition to the $100, I'm okay with things that we've maintained, like we put new locks on the doors, and the new locks end up as an item, and then other ones around the building, but really it's all part of the building.
I was gonna say, I don't think we put the locks on them.
There's some things like that, like the
Blinds for the zoning office. Now blinds can be very expensive, but I guarantee you that those blinds are not
Well,
$100
this-
or more.
A lot of this was done
I understand.
way back when.
I'm not,
Especially since-
72?
Since it calls out blinds, the vinyl series.
Probably.
Okay, so some of these we'll mark off, Christmas lights, things like that. Locker, green used as a stand for battery. What does that mean?
Where does it say it's at?
Says locker, green used as a stand for battery.
it's in that room that's stuff that's stacked up.
Is it $100 value or more?
Definitely it's less than $100.
But it is in there anyway. Power strip, less than $100. Sweeper, Abyssal sturdy sweep, that's probably $200.
I was gonna say, the
Mm.
most recent one we got was,
Yeah, we'll do that. Why do we have 4 vacuum cleaners? I'm just curious. Panasonic vacuum cleaner, the Shark vacuum cleaner, Bissell sturdy sweep.
but this was just that, those little.
I think one of them was a handheld.
Oh, okay.
It's a little handheld push thing that.
Kathy can verify all those. I did note, Claudia, you can verify that we have the Dell laptops, right? The Dell laptop #1, Dell laptop number
This one's
2.
number 1.
And I have number 2. I did find it.
Oh, you did? Wonderful. But those are all like rented out to people, so
Well, but
you can verify that still.
I mean, I gotta read all the other people, but those are probably just you guys's, because that's just, trustee
We should
stuff.
have 3.
I have mine, yeah. Mine's like number 20. Routers. Okay, so by the next meeting, I can get all these items verified. I'll go and I'll ask Kathy to verify the smaller items that are for cleaning and such. And then we'll have that done for you. That will be my action.
Okay. Anything else for fiscal officer items? Trustee items, Aspen Energy voicemail.
Yes, I asked this to be added to the agenda because, on occasion we get, voicemails from residents, some positive with respect to our aggregation program, some offering, potentially to, basically get a cheaper rate or work with the township, and then some, of course, not happy with the rate. We lock in the rate pretty well in advance, and as you, both know on the board, we were anticipating a number of volatilities to the market, which enacted us to move in a way that locked in a 8.4 something percent. The voicemail that we received was a gentleman who indicated that it's significantly lower right now, and we should consider thinking through our approach within the aggregation program. I wanted to bring it forward to the board to talk about whether or not we do want to, for example, go look for somebody, that could help us with aggregation, other than potentially Trey Bell. Not saying that Trey Bell's been great to work with over the last couple of years. I'm just thinking in terms of staying fresh and staying up to date on knowledge. Do we want to have any of those conversations? And if the answer is no, that's fine. But then we also should probably have a trustee who's assigned to follow up with residents about these different situations over the next year. So I wasn't certain. Those are two items I wanted to bring forward to the board.
The comment I've got on is, in the past, the vendors, and there's been a lot of electricity vendors that want quote prices. And that price is for the electricity, not for all the services that go along with keeping us up to date with the PUCO and the other stuff, which Trey Bell provides. Trey Bell doesn't provide us any electricity. What they do is they provide a bunch of services plus help us to get a contract with the vendor. And the vendor likes to quote just the vendor price, not the, we gotta figure out some way to handle the other things. I'm not comfortable with taking that on as a trustee, and that's gotta be something that we dedicate employees someplace along the line to do that, if we did that sort of thing.
Okay.
That's my concern.
As far as potentially switching from Trey Bell, but then
I want to cover the whole aggregation.
That makes sense to me.
Not just the cost of the utility.
that makes sense to me.
I'm open.
Okay. Well, we have a number.
But I didn't mean it wasn't open, but it's just.
Well, I'm open, but as you well know, I don't like,
I know.
have to be careful. When it comes to aggregation, my trust level is limited. And so when they come in, I want to know exactly what they are saying, because they all seem to talk about all the advantages, and then you find out the disadvantages later. And so I have limited trust. I'll just leave it at that. But I'm open to looking at them and then having them have to quote the same thing.
Right. It's just that we gotta figure out who's putting the time in to understand that it is.
I understand what you're saying, and I think you're right. That would be a great thing for a town administrator to do.
Township administrator?
Oh, yes.
It's a fairly long discussion, I think. I know one of the vendors, I talked to one of the vendors one time, and it's been a couple, 3 years ago, I think it was AEP's aggregator vendor, and I told him what the rate was that I was getting, or that we were getting from whoever our vendor was at the time. He said, well, we can't do that. And then he called me back about a week later. He says, oh yeah, well, we can do that now. We figured out how to do it. I said, well, how long is it good for? He said, 30 days. And
The quote was for 30 days or the time period was for 30 days?
the time period for the contract at that price was 30 days. And then reverted back to the regular electricity. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to get into a situation where somebody does that to us.
Understood.
And that's something I'm not skilled at doing, let me put it that way. But it's something that takes a lot of heartbeats to get you there.
So it sounds like there is an appetite, and I concur with you, Trustee Bullard. So it sounds like maybe there's not appetite to look at it, the big things, but as far as responding then to residents' inquiry, historically, I think we've kind of divided that out over the last couple of years, and I'll typically send it forward to Scott at Traybell, who's done a good job replying. So I'm happy to do that for this voicemail, if you would like me to have him follow up with the resident. I think they
It wasn't a resident though, was it? I thought that was a sales call, and that's the problem is I get these sales calls
Yeah.
and I don't understand the energy at all, so I don't like calling people back.
Right, I think, yeah, in this case, why did I think it was,
I think that was a sales
it
call.
was from Aspen Energy, okay. Ohio Edison, okay. Well, I don't feel very compelled to follow up with a sales call. I thought this was a resident who also, like, because we had those residents who also worked for a company and had approached us. So if this is not a resident, I'm not so inclined to follow up. But if we want to do that going forward, do we want to just send them to Scott first?
Well, he's not going to deal very well with competitors, so I don't.
Not this, but a resident who has.
Oh, yes.
The electricity companies are not, they're not competitors of Traybell. What Traybell uses them for is they're suppliers to Traybell.
Yes,
Or to the township.
yes,
And that's the thing that we gotta keep in mind, because what we're getting from Traybell is different than just the
Right.
electricity.
yeah.
As long as
And
we-
I'm
as long as we understand that,
saying,
I
do we
wouldn't
want to
change.
consider both? Do we want to consider the person that, works within our aggregation program as a whole? Or how do we want to handle, like, I think that some of the customer situations have gotten a lot more improved over the last couple of years. But when you say, it's a whole package, if, for example, we have in our package that they handle customer support, then customer support should be being handled, right?
And we went through that at the beginning, when we first started the aggregation process. And it just got to be, they didn't want to bother with it anymore. And I'm not saying that the problems all went away. What I'm saying is that they found to be less than what they want to put our business in.
So in this situation, do I not return the call or do I say, we're not shopping around at this time?
Either one, your call. If they call you back, you could say that, because both those statements are,
Okay, anything else on trustee items? Continuing on, zoning department, December zoning report, 166 homes for 2023.
Yes. And, not just that, it was 166 new home builds for 2023. But I also thought that the deck, porch, kitchen permits, 41, and temp and perm sign at 60. So, particularly with the signage, I think that we need to, and we're in the process of updating our zoning text, I think we need to be very intentional about signage and perhaps button up some of that area in our code. So when the time comes, we should have a discussion as a board as to what we want that to look like to ensure that we have enforceability behind that. These ones are fine, obviously, because they came in, but there's a whole host of others that our assistant zoning inspector is keeping track of, and he's removed no less than 300 signs in the last few months alone. So they just keep coming, and I want to try to figure out a way to deal with that a little bit more systematically.
That's enforceable.
That's enforceable.
Signs have been a big issue since day one was on,
Yes.
and actually before. So it's always been an issue, but maybe we can make it a little better, a little more workable. That would be good.
One of the suggestions of the assistant zoning inspector was to begin a violations list, and if they violate a certain amount of times, begin fighting them.
If that's enforceable, I don't know if it's enforceable.
Yeah. So I think those are the kinds of suggestions that, you get the sign, it inevitably has a phone number on it, you call them, you tell them multiple times, don't put your signs up, they keep doing it, and at some point, what other actions could be incurred? And the assistant zoning inspector seems to think that potentially fines could be one course of action, and I'm happy to look into the legalities of that.
Future topic?
Future topic.
When?
For the signs, the BZC will be hearing the zoning resolution on 1/23. It just depends on when that zoning resolution gets to us.
Okay,
So I'd probably say late February, March.
okay. That's fine. I don't have a problem. I'm
Just wondering when, yeah.
just trying to figure out what we're working with. And then, another issue that's with zoning, I think, kind of between zoning and road department, is we're getting requests, or have a request right now for a temporary driveway permit for the person purchasing land that needs to be cleared. It's not ready for a driveway or anything else, but it's just a temporary permit. And we're looking at, we don't have a temporary permit, we've got a driveway permit, we're putting in a driveway, but not a, temporary situation. If we remember over on High Road last year, the developer put in a tile that's kind of curved up on both ends, so it wasn't going to flow any water. But that was a temporary tile. Tile has been removed, so it's not a problem now, but not everybody does that. So we need to look at a way to do a temporary driveway. I'm not saying it's, that we're gonna do it tonight, but we do need to think about that.
Well, yeah, maybe we revisit that as well with the zoning resolution. Too. Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Ellen?
No, not for right now. We have a late item.
When we had our County Township Association meeting, Heidi indicated that the state legislature is looking at zoning in general and that sort of stuff. We need to send information to Heidi and/or I think it's in the Senate, so it would be Andy Barr, that we could send information to them like that report and maybe the report from Scott Sanders last year, which showed the trends in Delaware County, the number per township, the number of homes, the population, all that sort of stuff. Seems like we got a lot of data that needs to get into the state legislature. And I think there's a lot more, and what they're trying to do is to address having more housing available, and they're identifying the problem as being the size of the lots that, and the density that the townships are allowing. I think there's a lot more that goes into it than just the size of the lots, because we require things like green space. Cities don't require green space. They build their park someplace else or somewhere else. We require green space in the development. We'll take the development, the lot sizes themselves that the houses actually get built on, which is pretty small. They're 10,000 square feet or thereabouts. So they're not huge, but in terms of the overall density of the land is quite different. Now, the cities can do things like special taxing districts, making things available and that sort of stuff. So it's comparing apples and oranges, and what it's really all boils down to is the developer want to get more money out of the piece of property, is what it really boils down to.
I'm not sure you're gonna have a huge success rate with,
Pardon?
I don't know that you're gonna have huge success with Senator Brenner.
Yeah, so
But I think you might have, better luck with,
OTA,
Representative Lorenz and Representative
Lear.
Lear.
Oh, but she's Senate,
and
she's
I
House.
didn't think the House was voting.
She's House.
House, yes, they're both House. And what's interesting is I thought that Berlin Township was only going to be one district, and actually Berlin Township was split into two. So currently we're in Representative Lorenz's, and most of us are going to stay in there. However, there is a portion that's going to be in Representative Lear's, and peculiarly, it's the part that's kind of the furthest away from her. It's
Around Delaware.
yes, you know where the Glens are? It's the Glens. So there's about 6 residents that live in, but regardless, we can say there are residents as well. So I think those would be our better 2 avenues.
But the housing committee, the select housing committee was
Senate.
Senate.
The point,
So they wouldn't get involved until the deed's already drafted, so to speak, you know? Which is fine, that's great too, but it would be nice to get out in front of some of that. We had our first DCTA legislative committee, Delaware County Township Association Legislative Committee here in Berlin. Very successful meeting. We were tackling some funding issues, very, very productive meeting. I think that we definitely have this Select Senate Housing Committee on the agenda to discuss. And I did send a note to Senator Brenner to say that we want to ensure township representation. And we had 12 townships represented as individuals, not as townships, as individuals signing on to that letter. So the hope is that we can definitely get something mobilized. It would be helpful if we could connect with Senator Brenner to discuss some of these things and ensure we all agree on the problem, but the solutions are so widely different. And I really do think you have a great point. We're not even working from the same set of facts. And so if nothing else, to be informed from the multitude of different perspectives, right now it feels like there's really only a couple of perspectives that are being shared. And so if we can have that table get bigger for townships to be able to share what our struggles are, I think that would be a game changer potentially.
I think it would be helpful.
So how would you suggest going about doing that? Would we want to try to coordinate with the DCTA? I believe Senator Brenner might visit the DCTA. And I had wanted to send him questions in advance so that he's prepared to answer them. Maybe we could put that forward as a potential proposal in the next legislative committee meeting. You want me to do that?
that's good. I think also getting the OTA involved, and so that it's something, because I think what they're looking at is statewide, maybe even bigger than that. But we need to coordinate so that we're not giving them a different set of information than somebody else is giving. So that we kind of got something going in that direction. And I'm kind of looking for the OTA to help us with that sort of thing. And going back to the cemetery seminar, I'm looking at the problems we've got over here. We were going to schedule a meeting with Heidi sometime after the spring conference. We talk about cemeteries and the cemetery problems we've got and the things that they could do to help the situation, because all cemeteries are going to end up in townships or cities, one way or the other. So it's the problem that's not going to go away. It's only going to get a lot worse. Even though we've got the first one, there's 2 more that I know of that are one in Ross County and one in Pickle County. that are in very similar situations, which are being handed off to the townships with the same set of problems, same kind of issues. But we need to do this with the zoning issue, or else there's gonna be a whole bunch of information floating around that's not gonna be correct.
Understood.
So what I would look to is, I was gathering information, putting stuff together, thinking about writing a letter to Senator Brenner, but that's probably not the best way to do it. It would be much better to work it through the DCTA or the OTA and the DCTA to get the right information going that way.
Mm-hmm. There's just we have 8 townships represented on the legislative committee alone. And as we're looking at how to effectively engage shareholders in this funding issue, it's becoming very apparent that townships who make up over 50% of the population in the county really have not effectively coordinated efforts for the good of the townships across the county. And I think that that's part of the reason, why you see so many different discrepancies right now that we're gonna work to tackle with funding, with opportunities, but also with sharing the story of who our residents are and what our values are as townships and what challenges we have in zoning. I think that we need to do that because otherwise somebody else is gonna come in and try to tell the story for us.
There's gonna be a lot of things dictated to us that we're not allowed.
They are trying, have tried, will continue to try. And it's not just Berlin, you think of other areas where, big, great developments for the economy come in, but what has happened to those townships as well?
I'm open to suggestions.
I like going through the DCTA.
If you could let us know where we should go.
Yeah. I'll put that as action.
Okay, it's now 6:30. Is it time to?
Yes. So we have on our agenda an interview. So at this time,
Is that you? Hi.
I would like to go into executive session. So I move that we go into executive session under 122.G1 to consider the appointment and employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, and to invite the elected officials and Brandon Mosier to participate in that executive session.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Just another discussion, that was our ORC 122 right? 121.22.
G1.
G1.
Discussion. Any more? Call the roll, please.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Bullard,
Yes.
And some elected officers.
Nice.
Great.
Have you taken your oath yet?
Reminded me it was in my briefcase.
Actually,
I'm happy with that.
you know where your oath has to go, don't
I'm sorry?
you? You know where your oath has to go, don't you?
Good to meet you.
Yeah, you took, I know where my.
This is a copy of your oath.
So we'll probably do an interview for about.
When you take your oath, you get a copy, and you know where you have to file.
We're
I make a motion that we return to regular session from executive session, so moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Rail,
Yes.
Bullard,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Okay, we have an executive session, no decisions were made and no actions were taken. And no follow-up is required at this point.
Mr. Chair, there was one matter after consideration further, and that is that would like to run a potential contract or really just inquiries related to some specifics of the township administrator position by Dave Riebenhoff, who's represented us on a number of employment matters. If the board is amenable, I'd like to consider allocating some funds for that this time.
How much money would you like to put into that?
We had allocated funds to Riebenhoff for fire specific purposes previously, and I think it should probably be, I would say up to $2,000. Anticipated cost not to exceed 1,000.
So is that a motion or?
So moved.
Out of the general fund?
Out of the general fund for the purposes of township administrator employment items.
Okay, and with yourself being the primary contact?
And authorize trustee Rail to execute all actions and documents associated with that fund.
I second.
So, call the roll, please.
Bullard,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Okay, going on here, I would like to end the meeting as quickly as we could, but don't want to skip over things that we need to get done. Old business, Cheshire Road widening easements and fiber, any update?
Yes. After a great deal of work with the prosecutor's office, Delco has agreed to the wording. Well, it's mostly their wording. We came to an agreement based on what the board has said. And so that document will be brought forward at our next board meeting. And I had asked, as the board had indicated, for the other two documents to come at the same time. Since Delco didn't come until today, I wanted to hold off on that until all the documents are ready to go. So we will have the agreement with the county for the road widening and on Cheshire Road, as well as the IT agreement. And that will all be, I will forward that to you so that you can review it before the meeting, but I anticipate that.
Do you anticipate that we should have it on the schedule for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. We will do that. Any questions?
No.
Collective bargaining updates?
The fire department and the township, as you know, went to fact finding. The board of trustees accepted the fact finders' findings. The firefighters did not. And so we will go on to the next step. There was an arbitrator strike through this, and we did get one. I did want to let the board know that there is a 30-day requirement that the arbitrator has to meet unless it's waived. I would have liked to got it done earlier, but the fact is that arbitrator would have turned his name and said, because he only had 2 dates available. And so the fact is that wasn't going to get done in the 30 days. So I recommended to Riebenhoff's law firm to waive that 30-day, because if we hadn't, then we would have gotten a new list, which would have delayed it even further. So that's where we are.
So do we keep it on here for the next meeting?
The meeting after that,
Meeting after, which should be the first meeting in
February.
February.
Yes.
I probably will not be here for that meeting. be here for the second meeting in February, if that's whatever. Just let you know that, so put that back on the meeting for, first meeting in February. Evergreen trees, we haven't installed them yet, but we will probably. We've got feedback from the forester, and once we get out of the spending thing, we will put those in.
Okay.
Evergreen sign donations, I don't have any update on that. No update. Leave that on the schedule for next meeting. Family plot consideration at Evergreen, again, no update. We'll take a look at that at the next meeting. And that'll be part of the extension of the cemetery rules. Property behind Cheshire Market, violations.
Very quick follow-up on that. Mr. Chair is, the zoning inspector has, been working with the prosecutor's office, and I believe that we have a plan of action in place to address some of those items.
Okay, so we keep it on
Let's keep it on for next time, yes.
okay. JED updates,
We have work starting on the ravines at Meadow Ridge, which is not in the township, and we have the clearing of the land in North Point Residential Hotel. The respective parties are in discussions about JED initiation. I have been able to get into contact with the Economic Development Director at the county, as well as the respective parties. So conversations are continuing.
okay. Keep it on for next meeting?
Yes, I do
Okay.
anticipate a good update for that.
Parks and Trails update?
I'd like to move this to next meeting, because the Parks and Trails Advisory Committee will be meeting between now and our next trustee meeting, so I'll have
Okay.
more updates from the board at that time.
Need restrictions for Pyatt Road?
I don't have an update for that.
Next meeting, or let's leave it on for the next meeting, what we got?
Actually, one quick update, the zoning inspector did reach out to the prosecutor's office to ask about the agreement, if you recall. And I don't believe that I have been copied on anything there. So I'll follow up with the zoning inspector with respect to that agreement.
Because there were two issues really.
Yeah.
Namely that we are a party.
Yeah.
That we have standing, and the second is that they sign it.
Yeah, there's the party in standing and, well, there was another issue. It was shall.
Yes,
So
right.
So I raised those issues to the zoning inspector and asked asked him to follow up with the prosecutor about
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, snowplow mutual aid agreement. In general, the agreement is very attractive. Everybody likes it. They're just trying to get the rates set properly. And the rates would probably be the FEMA rates for using snowplows and trucks and things of that nature. So they're going back and are correcting the rates. Once that's done, then we can all sign it.
Well, yeah, Mr. Chair, I actually spoke to the Troy trustee and they had turned down the mutual aid agreement for
Who again?
Troy Township.
Hmm.
They said that there were just too many concerns, that they were happy to help out on occasion, that one township, for example, had borrowed their truck once, but that they were not favorable about the agreement. So it sounds like maybe some more work needs to get done. I can maybe find out more details for next meeting if we want to keep it on the agenda.
There may be, let's see how many people will agree to it and then go from there.
Okay.
And Troy may want to agree to it later if there's a large agreement.
Yeah,
You know, so.
yeah, they just couldn't accept it with the current terms.
Sure.
And their board did actually vote no to not accept it.
Well, and two, if it is a successful agreement, they may want to join.
Yeah.
Because they see that and they just don't want to do the experiment.
Yeah, that makes sense as well.
Sycamore Trails?
So I did speak with Jesse about that.
About the surface and we're talking the place that's over off of,
3 pieces
Africa.
Africa, yes.
off Africa Road, and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And, Jesse's been over it a couple times. I have not driven it looking for that, but, he didn't find anything. Well, I would ask if you could go over with Jesse, just
So-
take time and take a
so-
look at it.
So I believe that based on what he has said and what the situation is, that regardless, it is as it is because it's been turned over to us. And I think that some of it will become more apparent as the years go over, that they paved over the problem. But for now, there's really nothing to do.
Okay. Township officer,
Yes, I will be following up with, Dave Ravenhoff related to the position, and I will have a report out for the board next meeting. Keep it on the agenda.
okay. OTA conference registration,
I put that on, I submitted,
I have one.
is that mine that you have? Okay, so everybody needs to get their registration. I think Claudia had printed off the form for us
Due
to
date
hand.
is- The pre-registration deadline is January 17th, so I said to have it to me by the 12th, I think.
I'd like to kindly note that I did get it in on time.
I'm
Just
not,
let the record
I'm not
reflect.
going to that. And
Okay.
is Jeff, are you going to that?
That's the
OTA.
Thursday and Friday and Saturday or something like that, or Thursday and Friday and Saturday before collection.
Oh, right,
Treasurer's
that's right.
office, so I probably should be there.
Okay,
Be at work those days.
so you won't be going to
I
that?
won't.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's just make sure to remind all of our staff that they need to get the registration in by the 12th if they want to go.
Okay, Dale Ford Drainage and Sewer, the Dale Ford Road project is, they're gonna move forward with it. It'll probably be middle of the month. No, it won't be, it wasn't between while school was out, it'll be done while school is in. It'll probably be middle of January, assuming there isn't a lot of snow, and assuming the weather cooperates, and assuming a whole bunch of things.
And that's the culvert replacement.
That's the
And
culvert
they'll be-
extension. No, we're not
Extension.
replacing anything, but just
Okay.
extending it.
And there's 2 tiles though that are going to be replaced. Is that what you had
No,
communicated? Am I thinking of
two
somewhere?
tiles added.
2 tiles added,
Yes.
okay,
One
gotcha.
on each end of the,
Yes.
to make it long.
Got it, that
Okay.
makes sense.
And I had Kathy put something on the website, saying that the road's already closed for a couple of days. At
Thank
some
you.
time, and we don't know when it's gonna be, but, hopefully there'll be some signs go up. I talked to Doug about it, and we don't know exactly when it's gonna happen, but they wanna get it done as quickly as they can.
Will they put up the electronic signs so that?
It'll either be electronic signs with I don't know which kind it'll be, but there'll be signs at each end of the road saying closed certain days.
Sounds good.
Okay?
The sewer portion of that, just to add, I did follow up based on the resident's question about the sewer tap. I seem to recall that there had been some discussion about the potential to do something with the development behind to leave open the opportunity for Dale Ford residents to do a tap. That was not viewed favorably by the Dale Ford residents at that time that were at that meeting, as I recall. So I just asked the VP of Land Development there, and they said that they had no plans, that there were no plans, but that residents could initiate with Tiffany Mag and sewer if they wanted to engage in those discussions further. So I plan to follow up with the residents and give them that answer.
Sounds good.
That's something that needed to be negotiated a year ago.
Right, in the zone, well, and I very distinctly recall the 2 residents on Dale Ford saying they wanted nothing to do with it, and they did not want sewer because they were very content with their,
Septic system.
septic systems, but, now I'm hearing from other residents that are saying they really, really, really want sewer. So this is where,
That's the way it always is, because the way it is in the plating process, and people don't realize this when they sign their plat, it's in little tiny print that if it goes in front of them, that they have to join it. So you may have one resident 4 doors down wants it, but if it goes that way, all those other three have to join it.
Have to join.
And so,
It's not just an
so the
matter.
township does not have any
Right,
place
right,
in
right,
that.
right.
And so the residents can decide whether they want to do that with the regional sewer district and that go for it.
Yeah, so, I will connect them with Tiffany Mag.
Okay, future meetings?
What's that?
Is that to be removed then, or?
Yes, you can remove that. I have a monthly meeting now as the legislative committee, so we meet the second Wednesday of each month. Very productive meeting. We'll follow up more on the issue related to, the housing. Any future meetings for you?
I may be attending one of the meetings that Old Tangia set up, but I want to look at that agenda to see if it's anything more than supporting their levy.
Okay, I do not believe I have any meetings before next meeting. And then, late items, any?
I did have one late item. We had, a zoning commission member who, indicated that due to their schedule, they would like to, move from a standing member to an alternate position. And then we did have one alternate filled at this time who indicated that they would be, interested in stepping into that role. So, I'm
Is
gonna,
that the first alternate or second alternate?
well, that's a good question for us to discuss as a board. We could put because, we'll have, if we move Tara into the zoning commission member, that Keith Gosha could move into alt 1 or alt 2. If it was alt 2, you guys know why and what, but, if we had kept him in alt 1, we would still retain that expertise and he could sit on the board. But again, the reason why he can't serve on the board is due to his travel schedule. So whichever the board thinks is preferable. And I have not heard back. I did speak to one applicant for the alternate position. He withdrew his application for consideration because his situation changed. And I did not hear back from the second one.
Okay.
So as of right now, the alternate, whichever one would be open.
Okay. Well, and two, I don't think we need to worry too much about because the alternate position is only for a year term length, and that expires in March. So we're going to have to revisit that regardless in March.
Yeah, that makes sense. So based on that suggestion, Trustee O'Brien, I think I would recommend, due to his expertise, to keep him in alt 1. And also, if he can't make the meetings, it goes to alt 2 anyway.
There you
Do
So,
we have a motion for that?
so yes, well, this is kind of interesting because I want to swap them.
go. Right. But I would first, if you don't mind,
Except,
yes, accept that, declare a vacancy for the term ending, whatever, then appoint that person, and then appoint him to alternate
yeah,
one.
let's do that. Thank you. Move to accept BZC member Keith Gosha confirmation to vacate the standing member position for the term that expires 3/1/2026 for the zoning commission.
Second, you move that, I second.
Call the roll, please.
Bullard,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes. Move to appoint Tara Shields into the BZC
Unexpired term.
BZC as a member with a term expiring 3/1/2026.
Second.
Font is too small, I can't read it.
Call the roll, please.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes.
Bullard,
Yes.
Move to appoint Keith Gosha to the BZC alternate 1 position with the term set to expire 3/1/2024.
Second.
Call roll, please.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Rail,
Yes,
Fuller,
Yes.
those are the only items to take action on this evening.
You have any leave
I have none.
that? I have none.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Call roll, please.
Rail,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
The touch screen doesn't work. I just turn it off.
If you use.
Or no.
Can I suggest something?
But you guys,
Use the marker and see
Yeah,
if
I
that
did.
allows a touch.
you can do it, but I did it today and it didn't work.
So there's something turned off.